Well, can you get a good knife for 30 bucks? That's what I want to answer for you today in the Ontario Spec Plus Alpha line. Hey folks, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another episode here at Gideon's Tactical. I am your host, Aaron. Really excited to do this video with you guys. We got so much going on. We're going to talk concept. We're going to talk about performance with this new USA-made, ultra budget-friendly line from Ontario. And it's going to have some steep competition. I mean, we're going to be running in a lot of Ontario's other products, the SP8, SP10, SP5, we've got, GI Tantos from Cold Steel, we got Mora knives, we've got the Rat 7. I mean, we got a lot to discuss, run in, compare, just really look at with this series. So I'm really looking forward to doing this video with you, kind of taking us on a little bit of a different journey throughout the video, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it and leave not only with knowledge on whether or not these are the right tools for you, but also just with knowledge in general about picking the next kind of outdoor survival field tool for you. So price is one of the major selling points with these alphas. And we're going to have links in the description below over to Amazon as well as Blade HQ throughout this video, not only for the Alpha series, but for all the knives you see here. And when you guys use those hyperlinks, helps me get out there, purchase gear just like what you're going to see in this video. So I really appreciate it when you guys see a gear item, regardless of stuff on the table today or elsewhere, and you guys use either Blade HQ or Amazon hyperlinks. I mean, you guys help make the channel go and make content just like this. So I appreciate that. These guys come in between $30 and $35 depending on size. And again, they're USA made, which is huge. I mean, that's a big deal. So if you see USA made, you see $30 to $35 depending on size of the tool. And then you see 1075 high carbon steel. It's like, okay, I've got to try these out. And that's really what came to me, because not only do I love Ontario's Spec Plus line, you get major value for what you pay for. USA made, just as an example here, I'm thinking about doing another video on this guy soon and doing more of a concept video than a review. But the SP8, 1095, USA made, monster blade, sawback from doing notches. And that's where they took, this Machete, which is the Alpha Machete here, and this is the Alpha Survival. But you can see, very similar lines there. I mean, I think I saw last I saw on Amazon, like $45, I think. This SP5 lightweight, quick in hand machete. About not half the weight, but much lighter than what I just showed you, the SP8. This guy I think is 45 bucks. I just picked up the SP10 for $40 on Amazon. So they go, that's just their bigger line. I mean, they got all kinds of stuff out there. So I love Ontario. I like what they do, and these they have taken these designs from older designs that sell well. The SP8 Machete for their Alpha Machete now, and this guy on, I believe, their SP2, their pilot knife. They kind of just did some tweaking with it, and tried to bring down materials a little bit with the 1075. So we'll jump just right into that first off of just, purpose and what are you going to be using these for? I mean, if you're going to buy these, know that you're buying them more for like general camp and field tasks. I don't view them as survival knives, even though this one has the name of it, because they are not exposed tangs. Unless, here's a Rat 7 that's been all tricked out from the Knifeconnection. We'll have links below for that. This Rat 7 has an exposed tang, large, thick tang. So I would view this as a survival knife. I view these more as just kind of general camp tasks. I wouldn't want to bet my life on them, and that's not a ding against this design. I just feel about that with any knife you throw at me, if the tang is not exposed. There are plenty. I mean, these guys are like indestructible, but at the end of the day, I would still, if I'm going to say true survival, I want something that has handle scales. You can wrap handle scales with paracord. If something starts happening in these handles, and it actually did, and we'll discuss that later, it's really hard to work with and to fix the problem. Whereas, if one of those handle scales cracks, breaks on this rat, loosens up, I can just wrap it in paracord, do what I need to do, and keep trucking. So that's something to note. I would say these are more just general utility tasks, last ditch tools. for that price point. You know, they could be great vehicle knives. You know, you throw in a bug out bags for, you know, like in your vehicle, because you're just like, I don't want to spend, you know, $100 to trick out a Rat 7. I just need something inexpensive or whatever. That's where they kind of like fit in. And so the other thing I would note is that, you know, with the 5-inch blade here on the Survival clip point, it's going to be a saber grind on the Machete as well. 7 inches on this guy. The combat right here, I keep saying combat, the Survival, they call it Survival, again, I would not, but the Survival here is basically going to do most like utility tasks or camp tasks that you want around a campsite. That's what it's going to do. It's not heavy. It weighs about 6 ounces. The thickness on the spine is about 0.19, so it's on the thick side, stout side. You know, it's a general tool. It's not like a bushcrafting knife like a Mora here. You know, this is going to make feather sticks and notches all day long better than this Alpha will, but you know, it's a little bit thinner and arguably isn't as laid out for, say, tactical use or just harder use. And I mean, we thumped on these. You're seeing a lot of footage that I'm rolling in here. I mean, I beat on these, thumped on them. And so that's kind of where this guy is going to be generally used, is for just general camp tasks, making, you know, some feather sticks for a fire, making a spear, you know, maybe doing a little bit of food prep, something like that. Now, the Machete is really interesting to me on like where you would actually use it, because I want to roll in this SP8, and it's funny because the SP8 and the Machete actually almost have the exact same cutting edge, but you can see that the SP8 is much, much bigger. And I believe, I can't remember, and I'll try and annotate it in if I can. I think this guy comes in about 20 ounces. This guy down here is 8.5 ounces. I mean, this thing is like featherweight compared to this guy. This guy is more than double the weight of the Machete in the Alpha series. So that is something to consider. They actually have same cutting edge and almost the exact same height of grind, which is really interesting, that saber grind. But when it comes to actual like chopping and machete work, this guy is way too light and small to really do any sort of machete work. Again, much more just for perspective, here's the SP5, another machete that they make. You know, this guy overall, I think, is about 9.5 inches. This guy, 10 inches. I mean, these are machetes and designed for the actual hacking, chopping, clearing brush. This guy's just way too thin, or excuse me, not thin, but too lightweight to really get any of that type of work done. It's much more in the size range of a Rat Model 7. You know what I mean? It's almost like the same size. So it's kind of like just a goofy looking midweight survival knife size, which is really interesting to me. So it can do very light hacking. It's got a nice long blade, so you have a lot of spanning width for batoning. It does have that chisel grind up here like it does for the, or, you know, like a secondary grind. It's not chiseled. It has, you know, beveling on either side, but for scraping and different, you know, prying tasks, that type of thing. But it is, you know, going to be obviously narrower in that. But I just want to give perspective. If you think that this is like basically a cheap version of the SP8, it is not. It's much smaller, half the weight, and more than half the weight, and is really just kind of like a bigger light duty tool. I don't know, it's really interesting how they decided to go with this tool and keep it in the weight class and size range that they did. So with that being said, what were some of the things, and again, this would just do general camp tasks. You know, again, you're not going to use this as a machete, you're not going to use it as a chopper or anything like that. You'll just be able to span a little bit more wood and just get a little bit more blade length. That's basically it compared to the Survival. Now, some things to note: the 1075, I was pleasantly surprised with. It is not, you know, 5160 from Ontario or 1095, but it's pretty close to their 1095 in edge retention. You know, it is a US heat treat and all that stuff, and we're going to talk about that here in a moment a little bit more in detail and some of the hang-ups that I saw with that. But for 1075, it outperformed like most of the Condor knives that we've tested here. It did not roll. It did not dull on me as fast as I was expecting. So I don't, for the price of, you know, $30, I don't have a problem with the 1075. And, you know, you're getting a high carbon steel. They rock weld at 57 to 59, so that's good. And you're going to get decent edge retention out of it. And you're going to probably see close performance to like a lot of 420 high carbons and, you know, that type of thing. So very decent, not really any issue with that. The problem is that when these arrived to me, that when I purchased them, These were dull as butter knives. I mean, these things could barely cut rope, and I was like sawing at it. It was not fun. I went out in the backyard, tested it right away, and I was just like, dude, these are, I mean, I tried to, you know, do feather sticks, nothing. I mean, this was impossible. And so I decided to take it to my Work Sharp Ken Onion edition. I'll have links in the description below if you need if you need to do lots of belt sharpening and you have lots and lots of tools that you work with. These things are awesome. So I basically reprofiled the edges, as you guys can see here. I mean, these edges have been completely reprofiled. I had to bring the grind up significantly because they basically just had like micro bevels. So I had to put it on a belt sharpener to really go to town, and it took a while. I mean, it took me about an hour, 2 hours. It took me 2 hours to do these two knives and get them to where I wanted them. And what you saw and what you're seeing throughout this video. I mean, they were useless almost out of the box, just shy of useless. And so if you don't have a belt sharpener and you're going to do diamond stones or, you know, whatever, you are going to be there a while. So just take that in consideration. Would really like to see Ontario just put better relief edges on these knives, and that would make a huge plus. Just as an example, I just purchased like 2 days ago, and this just arrived, and I have yet to use it, the SP10 buoy, and this has an amazing grind on it, and I was actually really surprised, pleasantly surprised. Really good, high relief edge, really nice on this blade. So just something like that, whereas these guys were really, really dull. So just that was really the big hang up for me, and for a lot of you. I mean, yeah, you're going to save yourself maybe 15 bucks compared to some of the other knives we're going to look at today, but you're going to have to put a lot of work into these knives to get them to where you want them and to have them basically perform as they should. So both of these alphas have a rubber overmold with a full tang skeletonized tang is what they say. Now these cutouts are, and the layout of the handle is like the Cerberus that we tested out, which is a full tang exposed tang knife that Ontario sells, that we did a review on, that I was pretty happy with. Overall, it's definitely a unique handle shape. I really haven't seen it anywhere else. You have like this thinned out neck right here, then it kind of flares out again, then it goes back down kind of almost in a coffin shape. It kind of concaves in here, giving you rubber texture, some rubberized jimping. I mean, you're gonna hold these in your hand. They're gonna be nice and grippy, which is really good. I mean, you're not gonna slide around. But the neck, and I kind of said this in the Cerberus, if I remember, was a little narrow because they concave everything in. So I would have liked to have that just like a little fuller right there. But I mean, other than that, it's just different. It's not good or bad. It's just different in the layout of the handle. Didn't really create any hot spots. For this one being, they call it the Survival again, I say it looks way more like a combat, you know, field knife. I would not say it's laid out for tactical use. Again, it's laid out for like camping and, you know, field use, because the guard here, there really isn't much, and I could easily, you know, with stabbing, slide up and really hurt myself. So I would say for just general, you know, push cuts and, you know, even reverse cuts, different things like that, it's totally fine. Going to give you good ergonomics, not really any hot spots, just a little narrower than I prefer right near the neck. But other than that, you know, they're 5 inches long, basically. And something now that you may notice is you're like, huh, that Machete is dropped a lot more, and you may be able to see that gap right there. What's going on? Well, while I was out testing this one, I gave the other one to my buddy Mike, who was about 50 yards away from me. I said, start beating on this thing, dude. We got to test it out. He did some side splitting, and shortly afterwards, I walked over to him, and the handle was bent at about a 20-degree angle. I was like, holy crap, dude, what the heck did you do? And he said, dude, I just side split it. We took a look and discovered that there's probably, not probably, there is a bad heat treat on this particular model right here. And I think it's a mass-produced knife. I've had this happen with $200 mass-produced knives before, where it's just a soft heat treat. I would not be concerned with the overall design. I'm sure this was just a fluke, because as soon as I saw that, we took this one and just wailed on it to try and get it to bend and break near the neck, and it would not do that. And so I just pounded it with the batoning stick back into place straight, and we had to do that about 3 times throughout the rest of the day. It was totally usable, but obviously not what it was designed to do. And I would always, if there's a bad heat treat, I'd rather have it be softer than harder, because if it's too hard, it'll snap and break a knife. So at least it's usable. But that again goes back to that whole survival knife compared to, you know, just a general utility knife type of thing. I can't mess around with this. I can't look at it. I can't take the handles off. You know, I can't do anything like that. I'm just stuck, and this is just going to loosen up the whole rubber overmold on this. So, you know, will I send this over to Ontario and have them take a look and probably replace it? Yes. I mean, that's probably what I'll do eventually. It's $30. And after having done this video, you know, I'm not really I'm not in a rush to get that fixed, but that is something I just wanted to point out. This is mass produced. The handle is not supposed to be like that. It bent and continued to bend back and forth throughout the day, depending on how hard we were on it. But we did not have any bending, any warping on this guy with the trying to bend it, trying to break it. And so I believe it was just a fluke, bad heat treat, either in that small batch or just on this one particular knife. Now the Alpha line has basically the lowest budget sheaths I've ever seen in the world. The fraying constantly. It's basically like a piece of foam in here sewn together. Now, it does hold them in place, but this is something that you will have to note, is you have to move this flap right here. You will, every time you pull the knife out, it wants to slide against this flap right here, and you'll slice it off in like 1 or 2 deployments, unless you put your finger basically on it. So it has 2 straps here. I mean, it holds it into place. It's pretty quiet, large belt loop, but I mean, yeah, this is like the cheat. I mean, where's my Mora? Moras for $18 have better sheaths, I mean, than these things. So know that the knife won't stab you, and it will probably hang on your belt for a while. That's about it when it comes to the sheath. Okay, so here's the real moment of truth with the Alpha series. Now that I have talked to you about it, discussed and kind of shown, running lots of action, really thumped on these guys, as you can see here, is can I recommend them to you? You know, are these the right tools for you? This is my opinion. If you are on a $30 price point, and you're like, dude, I have to have a knife and I cannot spend more than about $30 on it. If you are looking for a survival / combat knife, boom, the GI Tanto is going to be a better option for you. Between $25 and $30, it's got that, again, exposed full tang. It does have a saber grind, about the same height as many of these. Does have a guard, so I'm locked in for more tactical use. Tanto design that doesn't hinder the outdoor usage. It actually has a full-on finger choil that I can use. It's easily modified, and going to have a way better polymer sheath with drop leg feature, left, right, ambidextrous, snaps into place, and is going to be kind of right in between the weight classes here. So 1055 steel, it will dull a little bit faster, but it's so easy to field sharpen, and it came razor sharp out of the box. I didn't have to do any sort of grinding or resharpening with this knife that you would have to do with these guys. So if you're looking for a survival combat knife, for a truck knife, a car knife, you're just on the tightest budget in the world, and you want more of that combat survival knife feel, this is the way to go, and is kind of that in-between crossover between this survival and this machete. You know, I mean, it's basically the same size as that machete right there. And will basically do all the stuff that these 2 knives can do, but it'll probably do it better. And then if you need really just a true bushcraft knife, you were thinking maybe about the survival, just because the Alpha survival, just because, you know, you're into those type of style of knives, but you're like, yeah, I mean, I just do, you know, bushcraft. I want to be able to make feather sticks, do notches, make food around, you know, prepare food around the campsite, and that's the type of knife I need, and I have about $30 to spend. Well, then just go with the Mora Kansbol. Again, a better polymer sheath, ambidextrous. You're getting a stainless steel that's going to hold at least the same edge. It's a little bit thinner, but, you know, better handle ergonomics, fuller handle overall. You know, 90-degree spine right out of the gate, so you can throw sparks with it, and is going to be mind-blowing with that Scandi grind for all bushcraft-related tasks, all carving, whittling. I mean, it's going to way outperform the smaller survival here in every way. You know, it's almost the same blade length. It's about maybe 3/4 of an inch shorter, but it weighs less, better sheath. It's about the same price, and will do all bushcraft camp tasks better than the Alpha will. And then if you just want a true chopper, I mean, just go with the SP8 if you really need machete chopping work, or the SP5, or if you want more of a combat buoy, but you just want that huge, massive chopping capability, the SP10. All of these, when I'm doing the video, they fluctuate anywhere between $60 and $40, depending on what I see. But as I said, I believe these 2 got the SP8 and 5 were $45 on Amazon, and the buoy I got for what's it called? $40. So, you know, for $10 more, you're going to get an actual chopping weight, actual chopping size, bigger, fuller, larger handle. You're going to get the weight that you need, and just be an actual machete, not kind of a machete looking knife that's way too light. So I hate to do this to Ontario. I love Ontario. As you can see, I love their Spec Plus line. These alphas, though, I'm just having a hard time, figuring out where they fit. The sheaths are so, I know they're trying to hit a price point. I know, USA made versus, again, I think this is like Taiwan or something like that. This one's China. I mean, I get it. These are USA made. I get it. They're trying to hit a price point, but there's too much stuff with them that I have to work with, and just what else is on the market. I don't understand. I can't say, yep, this guy is kind of just a cheaper version of this guy. No, this guy is going to do way more stuff on the larger end of tools than this guy ever will. And this guy up here, the survival, yeah, it can do the job if you put the grind that you want on it, but your sheath is going to be bogus. And the Tanto is just, for the same price, going to give you better sheath and be more tactical and be more, survival oriented in the fact that it's a full tang, exposed tang with handle scales. So, yeah, guys, that's really me. That's where I see these alphas coming in as just, I appreciate what they're trying to do. They would not be my first choice. The other tools that you're seeing on the table, I would go with every time first. So that's really my feeling on the tools, guys. There's so many other great options out there. I just don't feel that the Alpha line really sets themselves apart, aside from the fact that they're made in the US. That's about it, at that price point of about $30. So maybe in the future we'll see some better, relief edges. Maybe they'll come up with some way that they can upgrade the sheaths a little bit, and maybe they'll begin to start to make some waves in the community. But for me, they don't stand out in any way, and to me, I'm not going to tell you to go buy them. I'd say buy this other stuff first. So, guys, that's the video. I hope that you have enjoyed this kind of different take than what we normally do here at the channel, giving a little bit more concept, giving a little more food for thought. I really appreciate you guys coming over here and supporting the channel in this way. I'd ask you to please subscribe. If you're not a current subscriber, hit that bell icon also to make sure that it's in your news feed. We're throwing up videos like this every single week. We invite you to become part of the GT family, doing these concept videos, helping you guys just spend your money wisely when you see a new product, really asking the question, where's it going to fit? Is it the right tool? Is it not? Check us out on all the relevant social media as well. Links below, Instagram, Facebook, lots of places that you can check us out. And finally, guys, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.